Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence brought to you by Casa De Confidence Productions. Today, I wanted to talk to you, my friends, because I'm bringing you an interview that you are going to really love listening to and getting to know our guests. But I want to talk to you about really having an opportunity to listen to this with an open heart and knowing that this guest today has so much beauty and wonderful things to share with us, but also it's going to share some educational stuff that will help us all support a better world, but individuals as well that may come into our path who will be touched by us because we listened to this episode. Our guest today is Katherine Klimitas, and I am thrilled to be able to have her in her intro. She says that some believe in destiny and some believe in fate, but she believes that happiness is something we create. And that is a Sugarland quote from the group Sugarland, and I recognized it right away. And I knew that her and I were going to have a wonderful conversation. So welcome to the show, Katherine.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I am honored to have you here specifically because you are a artist, you are someone who is an advocate, but I want to start off and kick off our conversation with asking you, what is the most important truth that you're living by right now?
I believe in just doing the best you can when you can. I think that as long as you are trying and you are putting yourself out there and you are truly doing the best you can every day, then that should be enough.
Yeah, I think that that's a great answer for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes, like I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and sometimes that means starting small, right? Like I need to exercise more and eat better. Okay, well, I'm not somebody who is an all or nothing person. I'm just not like that. So,
Yeah.
So instead of, you know, watching a TV show, maybe I go swim for 30 minutes. I mean, it's not like I'm, fully, exercising all day long,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's, a few, and I say, okay, my goal is 3 times a week,
Yeah, it's
and
a
then build
drop in the
up.
bucket. And, one of the
Exactly.
things that I think a lot of people don't realize is I saw an illustration of this, and it was two rocks, and one rock had a bucket being poured into it. And the water, excuse me, just kind of spilled all over. But the other rock had drops falling on top of it. And the rock that had the drops falling on top of it is the actual one that had I guess, a hole in it because it had been created by the consistency. And I think that this really relates to our lives. Sometimes we think, if we just throw it all in there, it's going to make an impact, but it goes away quickly, whereas the consistency adds up.
It does. And I think, like, especially with goals like that, if you can say that you did more than you did yesterday or
Mhm.
last week or
Yeah.
last month, then you're doing okay.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
The one thing that I often say is that we need to stay in our lane
Mm,
and do that consistent action to get traction. But when
definitely.
we stop focusing on us and we start comparing and despairing and thinking, okay, or even breaking our momentum to go try something new, then
Hmm.
that's a little bit of when we set ourselves up to fail, and that's such a
Definitely.
common thing. But when people meet you today, Katherine, what do you wish they really knew about you?
Well, when I introduce myself, I usually introduce myself as an artist and graphic designer. So I live right outside of New Orleans, Louisiana, and I look a little different than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's uh, I think the wish for most people in my position or something like my position is that you just wish that people treated you like another person,
Mm,
not like a child,
yeah.
not like somebody who's mentally not with it, like just
Mhm.
another person.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening, I have a genetic bone disease called osteogenesis imperfecta, which is basically two long words that mean that my bones break easily and they grow abnormally. So I
Mhm.
have a severe form of the disease, and my bones break very easily.
Mhm.
In fact, I had broken over 500 times by the time I was 10.
Yeah.
So, I'm only 2'7". I use an electric wheelchair to get around. I have an aide with me most of the time.
Mhm.
And my life looks very different than
Yeah.
most people, which is,
Yeah.
I say that, but it also looks very normal in some ways
Oh,
too.
absolutely. And I think that
Yeah.
that's one of the things in learning more about you that I have seen, right? And you've created a life for yourself that definitely it's working through or living with something that a lot of people haven't heard of,
Right.
brittle bone disease. It's how it's commonly known, and you
Hmm.
grew up with that disease. But in breaking 500 bones by the age of 10, which of course is unimaginable to most of us, what is the core belief that helped you survive that and create the life that you've created for yourself?
The core belief is if you don't get up and do something, your mother's going to kill you. Um,
Oh, that's a
that's
core belief that I
that's
think
a
a
core
lot of us
belief.
share.
Yeah, that's a big one right there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, both of my parents own their own businesses. Both were professionals, both veterinarians, and um, they own their own practices and they worked a lot. I grew up with two parents that worked a whole lot, and
Mm,
my dad has passed away, but my mom is still working. And so, like, the idea of working was not foreign to me. I
mm,
mean,
yeah.
there was no question when I was growing up that I was going to college.
Yeah.
Like, that was just assumed. Like,
Yeah.
there was no, like, oh, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Oh, no.
Mhm.
No. I mean, I was going to college and I was going to have a career and I was going to have to figure out what it was going to be. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love my parents, great parents, but
right.
yeah, they definitely instilled that in me.
Hmm.
And I think this is an inherent problem in the world right now because I like to work. Like
Yeah.
it makes me feel good to
Hmm.
get things done.
My friend, you and I both. And
And
sometimes
and
people don't get that.
No, and like I look at all of these people and they don't want to work. And that's
Hmm.
such a foreign concept to me. I can't
Hmm.
imagine.
Yeah.
Like somebody asked me the other day, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? I said, I'd probably still be painting,
That's
at
right.
least some. I mean,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
would do something because,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely something that, the adage or the saying that, when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life is so true.
yeah.
And I know, for instance, I know many individuals that Mondays, yeah, my sister, I was speaking to her the other day on a Monday and she hates them. And she loves her job, but at the same time, she doesn't love Mondays because it's like back to the grind.
It's a
Whereas
lot.
for me, I can't wait for Monday to come because I can jump
Yeah.
right back into what I love. But you're growing up, and you mentioned, there was no question that you were going to go to college, and you must have some core memories though, about being in school prior to going to college, and there. Obviously, for some of us that are outsiders, I was an outsider in my school. What are some of the moments that you realized that you had to build your own confidence because
Hmm.
you were one of these people that were different?
I I mean, my parents taught me to be confident. So
Hmm.
I didn't usually have a problem with that. I always was a leader and not a follower.
I love that
Um,
saying.
yeah.
I say that to my
Um,
niece all the time. You're a leader, not a follower.
yeah, I always was a leader. But I mean, kids growing up can be mean. Like I wouldn't say I was bullied. But there is a couple of memories I have where
Hmm.
somebody blatantly said something in front of me to hurt my feelings and to leave
Mm,
me out. Rarely did it have to do with my disability,
yeah.
but there are a couple of times that it
Hmm.
did. You know, I mean, I remember one from first grade, like very vividly, but again, I don't know, I don't know that I had any more trouble than most girls
Hmm.
growing up, because
Mm,
girls are mean. Girls are
yeah.
just, they are really mean,
Yeah, we
you
need to
know?
break that. We need to
I
break
know. And
that.
the people, you grow up and then you talk to other adults and they say, "Oh, I never had that problem." And I'm like, that means you were the mean one. Like, that's, that's why you
I
didn't have
love
that
that.
problem, you know?
Yes, I think you're right. I think that we're the
Yeah,
mean ones.
that means you were the mean girl because you
Hmm.
didn't have that problem. Um, but I mean, I have most of my memories are with very specific friends. So when I grew up, I had a group of friends, and we got very close. And what was really cool about it is that when we were, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, I
Hmm.
started teaching my friends how to move me around. So
Mm,
that meant that, we could do things like
yeah,
everybody else and go to the mall.
right.
And,
You
they
became
could,
an advocate at
right,
an
they could
early
drop
age. I
me
love
off.
that.
Yeah, they could drop us off and
Hmm.
basically trust that I would be okay,
Yeah,
with these people, as much as any parent
right.
can,
Of
right?
course. Of
I mean,
course.
and we would play in our rooms or whatever by ourselves, and there would be an adult around, but we didn't necessarily need them, you know,
Mm,
any more than any other kids would need
mm,
them.
yeah.
So I remember one day when we were told absolutely under no circumstances was my friend allowed to carry me up the flight of stairs. And she did.
And she did.
And she did. And then
Kids will be kids.
she carried me back down and her mom flipped out and I'm like, it's over. Like it's already happened.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we're good. It's
Hmm.
fine. You
Yeah.
know.
I'm so glad you had experiences, that most teenagers we tend to have, right? Parents say
Yeah.
do this and we don't. And yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, I mean, also, like, it really hurts to break a bone. Okay. Like,
Mm,
it is not, my
yeah.
situation does not change that. It really hurts, right? So
Mm,
I don't, it's self preservation. Like, I'm
yeah.
not going to purposely, even as a child, I'm
Hmm.
not going to purposely put myself in a position
Yeah.
where I think I'm going to get hurt. Just,
Mm,
just, just in the simple fact that I don't want to hurt,
yeah.
you know? So,
And how, and again, the name brittle bone in doing some research, but I'm sure I didn't really read everything that there is to know. And this is why I'm so appreciative of you being here to talk about this. But what are simple things that maybe we take for granted that can cost you to break your bones?
sneezing, that's a big
No,
one. Yeah.
really?
Yeah, not every time, but I
Okay.
break ribs relatively often sneezing.
And
Um,
what happens next after that, after you do that?
I mean, now that I'm an adult, usually there's a couple curse words that come out,
Yeah.
and and
I'm with you.
um, and I ask for some Motrin, and then I just try to get as comfortable as I can, and that's about as far as it goes. I mean, then
Yeah.
you just wait. I mean, ribs. If you've ever broken a rib, there's nothing they can do. Like,
I know, my
there's
friend.
nothing to
I've
do
been
about
there.
it. Yeah, there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah.
You just have to wait for them to heal. You know.
Mm,
So it's not fun.
yeah.
Sneezing, I can turn the wrong way. And as I went through puberty, my bones got stronger,
Hmm.
as does everyone's.
Right. Right.
It's just that your bones don't start off brittle, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't necessarily notice that your
Hmm.
bones are getting stronger when you go through puberty, but they do.
Right.
But they do. So for me, it makes a huge difference. So my breaking has slowed down
Hmm.
tremendously since
Okay.
then. but it still happens, you
Right,
know.
right.
It used to be that like I could get my toe stuck on my mom's buttonhole and I'd break my tibia. You know, like
Oh,
it could be that easy, but it's not like that anymore.
right. Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have to bring up the subject of art and the unexpected power of art. And you were a child with limitations, and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden, your creativity entered. Did you feel that art gave you freedom
Oh
in the
yeah,
way that nothing else could?
definitely. Especially now as an adult and it's my career. I mean,
Mm,
that's a huge deal. So my mom, when I was a kid, my mom was constantly trying to find things that I could do because, of course, there were times where I couldn't go play with my friends. You know, I
mhm.
couldn't go play
Yeah.
soccer, whatever, kickball, whatever they were playing. And
Hmm.
so she would find things that mostly used my brain.
Right.
So, you know, you think about a baby and what they learn first,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
they learn to walk and crawl, or
Hmm.
crawl and walk,
Right.
technically. Um, and I didn't do that. So
Mm.
I learned to talk in full sentences using four-syllable words by the time I was like 11 months old,
Wow.
because that's what I learned to do.
That's
You know,
huge.
that's where my energy went,
Yeah.
was to that kind of thing. So, you know, mom was teaching me all kinds of things. I don't know if anybody remembers Hooked on Phonics.
Hmm.
Oh
Yes, of course.
God, I hated it. But anyway, she'd make me do that. And she'd give me all kinds of National Geographic stuff. And then I'd end up at the office with them, you know, so I'd
Mm-hmm.
be around dogs and cats. And we had our own dogs and cats, of
Hmm.
course. And then one day she got me a watercolor set, and cheap, you know,
Yep.
child watercolor
Hmm.
set. And I really loved it. And I was okay at it for a 5-year-old.
Hmm.
And so she got me another one. And then she started getting me other things like, you know, craft things at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever, you know,
Mm,
those
yep.
kits, you know, paint a rock, paint,
Hmm.
you know, do a stained glass, do, you know, whatever. And so I started doing all of those. And then at that point, I was in first grade. So I
Mm,
started getting art in school, you know,
hmm.
like actual art in school. And I was really lucky because the school I went to had a phenomenal art teacher. He was a little crazy, but he was amazing and so
Mm,
talented and so good with the kids, and figuring out who actually had potential and then
hmm.
pushing them
Yeah.
into that potential. So he was really great. And then on top of that, instead of doing swim lessons or piano or whatever
Hmm.
after school, I started doing private art lessons.
Got it.
So, you know, my mom had a client that taught me sculpture. She had another
Mm.
client that taught me drawing. I mean, like,
Wow.
so like, yeah, so I
What
was
great
doing,
opportunities.
yeah, and so I did summer camps and all kinds of things. And oh, by the time I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, I had tried all the medias. Like I
Really?
tried like almost everything and figured out
Wow.
what I liked and didn't like and all that. And what was really cool is when I was, well, I sold my first painting when I was 10. Um, but
Wow.
when I was about that age and maybe a little older, I would have to go to work with my parents on Saturdays.
Hmm.
And and again, I was bored. So because I mean, what kid wants to be
Yeah.
at work, you know, with their
Yeah.
parents?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I would sit in the waiting room and just start drawing people's pets. You know, I bring my paints or my draw pencil or
Oh,
whatever, and
brilliant.
just start drawing people's pets just because I was bored, not
Hmm.
because, you know, I wanted anything out of it.
Right.
But then they started paying me, like without me asking. They were
Mm.
like, "Oh, here's $20. Can I have that?" You
Wow.
know, or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Is that when you realized that this was more than just a hobby?
I think I realized I could make money doing it.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
don't know if like it was really quite at a hobby at
Mhm.
that, but like more than a hobby yet. Um,
Okay.
when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to be taught by a college professor
Hmm.
privately on the weekends. And she taught me at a college level, basic drawing and basic art skills, but
Mm-hmm.
hard. I mean, like really, really hard classes,
Mm.
like drawing circles over and
Yep.
over without a compass. I mean,
Yeah.
really hard stuff and drawing things from life. And that's kind of when it pivoted because
Hmm.
so I lay down to draw and
Right.
to paint because it's very hard for me to sit up for long periods of time
Hmm.
and hold my arm up. So
Yep.
I would never get anywhere. Like it would take me forever if
Hmm.
I had to sit up. So I lay down to do all of that. And if you've ever tried to lay down and write or draw, it
Not able
looks
to do that.
it looks very different. Like the world
Hmm.
looks very different. You don't
Yeah.
realize it because your brain compensates for it.
Hmm. Right.
But the connection between your brain and your hand has to compensate also. And
Right.
so that's what she taught me is how
Mm.
to do that. And
Yeah.
then once I was like, oh, I actually can draw. Like maybe this will
Yeah,
work,
that's fascinating.
Like, yeah.
As a brain nerd, I love that. I think
Yeah.
that,
So
you had to probably train your brain in very different ways.
it's very different. And now I do it automatically because I've
Hmm.
done it for so long,
Right. Of course. Now
but
that's a habit. Yeah.
yeah, without her like laying on the floor and being like, okay, now I see what you're seeing.
Hmm.
This is how you need to think about it. Then
Oh.
yeah, I mean that was
How
yeah.
fortunate you have been that, your parents really opened up so many different opportunities because they didn't limit you and they
No.
gave you that belief in yourself, I believe, that you can do anything and you have done so many
Well,
things.
I would not say they taught me to believe that I could do anything
Okay.
because my mom is a very realistic person. And
Mm,
when I loved Free Willy and I wanted to be a killer whale trainer, mom's like, yeah, probably not.
okay.
You know,
But
like
did she let you down easy?
That's not really her personality. I don't really remember, honestly, but I really don't remember.
Hmm.
But she would say something like, but you could maybe look at marine biology,
Oh, yep.
and I did think about that for a while, but then I got
Hmm.
into the art thing. So that
Yeah.
went
Well,
out.
I think that there were so many different moments, right? That we can take so many different forks on the road.
Hmm.
But it looks like you found art and then you grew through your art.
Hmm.
And so tell me a little bit more about the business that you built in your home and how you've kind of created this because it not only works, you're working from home, but it works with your body and you have a vision.
So my business is called CAK, KAK, which are my initials, art and design.
Hmm.
And it is kind of split half and half into graphic design and painting.
Hmm.
When decided I was going to go to Loyola University in New Orleans, I thought I was going to go for fine art. But then I realized how much art I would have to put out to make a living.
Mm,
Like physically, how like the
yeah.
quantity of art I would have to put out because you ask any artist for every 10
Yeah.
paintings you do, you sell one maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
not,
Exactly.
that doesn't work in my lifestyle. So
Hmm.
um I said, okay, well, that's not going to work. I've already taken all the prereqs for design, so
Hmm.
I'm going to just go ahead and switch my major, and it's not going to affect anything really. Okay.
Right.
So that's what I did, and I graduated in graphic design. So I have clients that I work for that I have several nonprofits and a corporate client and
Hmm.
some other private clients. And I do like social media management
Hmm.
and
I love that.
logo design and website updates and
Hmm.
any kind of print collateral they need, that kind of
Mm,
thing.
that's
Um,
amazing. That's so cool.
it is. If people ask me, do I like it? And I do like it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't consider it art only because it's really oftentimes a problem solving exercise. Because with design, things have to be very specific.
Right.
I mean, you're doing this for a client that represents their business or their
Hmm.
organization, and there are certain colors you have to use, or there's certain
Mm,
font, or it has to fit in a certain area, or
right.
whatever, right? Um, So it uses a little bit more of my left brain than
Hmm.
art normally does,
Right, right.
right? But on the other side of things, I have a very thriving pet portrait business that
Okay.
so I stuck with the pet portraits. Um, they look
I love
very
that.
different. They look very different than they did when I was 10.
Well,
Uh,
you've gained a lot of
yeah.
confidence and also skill throughout the years.
Yeah, and so these last 2 years, I would say at least this year, probably
Hmm.
last year too, like it used to be that they would all drop off,
Hmm.
like February, March, April, May, because
Right.
nobody's buying anything at those
Hmm.
times. That has not happened.
Really?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, I am not inundated, but I am steady, which
Mm,
is good. I'm
that's
fine with
awesome.
that.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, so that's good. Holidays are when I get inundated.
I bet. I
Um,
bet.
yeah.
That's really cool. Well, as a pet owner, I know that I love that. And to have someone who can help and help me create some wonderful memories of my
Yeah.
babies. That's so wonderful.
And I love that. And then I do
Hmm.
some wild animal art also, because those are a little more relaxed for
Hmm.
me. It doesn't have to look just like a certain animal.
Yeah.
So it's a little more
Hmm.
fun and I can experiment a little more and,
Yeah.
do a little more with those. So, but then I take a lot of those wild animal paintings
Hmm.
and I put them on products.
Yeah.
So, and then I sell, greeting cards
Hmm.
and mugs and other things in my Etsy store. And
Yeah, I've been telling my
yeah.
sister, so my sister's an artist and she started
Cool.
for some time, but she is quite the opposite of you. She does not want people to see her art, and she's what I believe very talented. So much so that her she takes art classes, and her professor, her teacher, wants her to teach one of the classes, and she
Hmm.
has said no. And that he's kind of bribed her and forced her a couple times to actually do the art exhibits. And people want to buy her painting. Someone
Hmm.
offered her a lot of money for one of them. And she said, no, she doesn't want to. So it's very interesting. Whereas, I wish I could paint like that because, of course, I'm the entrepreneur. I already know what I would be doing, right? Like I'm going to monetize it this way, and this is how I'm going to go. But yeah, my sister, I love that you're monetizing and you have an Etsy store and putting your talents in a way that it's also helping you and
It
creating a
is.
life for you.
But here's the problem with that. And I understand where your sister is coming from.
Hmm.
Because something that was once really fun is no longer
Yeah.
always really fun. And often even when it is fun, there's
Hmm.
still that voice in the back of your
Oh
head
yeah.
going, okay, how do I monetize this one?
Yep.
Like, is this one going to look good on a towel? Is it going to look good on a card? Like, how can I put this one on
That's a
social
good
media
point.
so people buy it? Um, so I understand.
Yeah, I read the book by Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, and he
Mm,
actually spoke. There's a study out there, and you've just reminded me of this, Catherine. There's a study that says that if you turn your hobby into a business, most people burn out quicker
mhm,
because all of a sudden it takes away and I have to go back and figure out what the study was, but it was so fascinating to me
mhm,
because the college students were told to do this thing, and most of them, the ones who were told you don't have to do this, and then were continued to kind of approach it from a hobby perspective, continued to grow the skill,
mhm,
whereas the ones that were told you need to do this did not.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the people, I have not read that book, but
mhm.
I think that the way out of that is that you really need to find another hobby. Like
Yeah,
you
I
need to
love
find
that.
something that is just for fun. You
Hmm.
love it more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
And and if you can do that,
Hmm.
then it's okay,
Yeah,
to lose that. So
I
for
love
me,
that.
that's concerts. Like
Well,
for me, my hobby is going to concerts.
concerts. Who's your favorite person that you've seen in concert?
Oh, that's such a hard question because I've seen
Right?
so
It's like
many.
asking who's your favorite child.
I know. I Somebody asked me yesterday actually, who I thought was what concert I thought was the best concert I've ever seen. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, not this is I love him, but it's not my favorite artist. But as
Okay.
far as like best performer, best show, like best entertainer, I mean, nobody beats Garth Brooks.
Ugh,
It just, you
100% with
know,
you.
like
You're right.
you can't get better,
No,
you
no,
know?
no. He
Um,
is definitely
he is
the
incredible.
definition of an entertainer.
He is. He is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, he can sit there and like with his guitar, just
Hmm.
him and his guitar and entertain
Yeah.
a whole crowd.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's
You know
incredible.
who's also an entertainer that I really enjoyed the when I saw him is oh, now it escaped my brain. I can see his Hugh Jackman. Sorry, Hugh
Oh,
Jackman.
interesting.
So we had, oh my goodness, this was my last concert before the pandemic. I took my husband to Boston
Oh,
for his
wow.
birthday because, you know, he likes Wolverine and he's a comic book nerd. But I was hoping that we can go see Hugh Jackman, and he just an entertainer. He sang, he danced,
Mm-hmm.
he did a lot of the music from The Greatest Showman, which I'm
Yeah.
excited it's coming to Broadway. So,
Oh,
but
that
yeah,
is
he is an
cool.
entertainer for sure too.
Yeah.
But Garth Brooks, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, not necessarily my favorite artist all around, but
Hmm.
like as far as the show goes,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you are using your voice like in in other ways. And when did you know that your voice and your story had power beyond you, and that you can use that as a tool for people to change?
So it's a very tricky thing, especially when you're also trying to grow up at the same time.
Mm,
Because when I was a teenager, I didn't want people. Well, first of all, I went through a period where I didn't like any of the
mhm,
art I did. That's like very
mm,
normal for an artist, right? Um, but when I was a teenager, I didn't want people to like my art because of me.
mhm.
I wanted them
Okay.
to like my art just because they like my
Right.
art, not
Mm,
because they felt sorry for me or, they
yeah.
were, oh, it's amazing. She can do
Hmm.
that, like, but I have a friend who is significantly older than me. She's in her
Hmm.
80s. For some reason, she and I just click. We're, 40 something years apart,
Hmm.
right? But we
Yep.
just click really well and have since I was a teenager. And she said to me one day, "You got to use what you got, kid."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, I get that because I was raised to not let people feel sorry for me, which is
Mm.
good.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a
it's
gift your
good.
parents gave you for sure.
It is. It's not a bad thing. It's just that it can go too far.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like you've got to find the balance, right? Because
Yeah.
no matter what, like I am going to break another bone.
Hmm.
I mean,
True.
it's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and it is going to be a part of me for forever, and
Hmm.
so like my friend says, like I might as well use it. And like if
Mm.
people connect and you call me an advocate, and I guess I don't love
You don't love the title, but
I
it
just
is
I know
true.
because I don't do things. I guess because I think of advocates as people that go to the legislature and try and change
Hmm.
things and I'm not really doing that. I
I
am
think that
just
that's a definition, but I'm going to challenge you, Catherine, because I
okay.
will tell you here's the thing. To me, an advocate is not only someone that changes legislation, but that creates a change by the example they're giving to people who may not been in a position to experience. And you, for instance, you understand the importance of inclusion. You
Yeah.
understand the accommodations that are necessary that sometimes people take for granted. And by you sharing, hey, I need, right? XYZ, or I would, life can be easier, not only for me, but for others if this, right? People who maybe don't know and take for granted their ability, but also what an easy world it is for a lot of us that don't have some of the things that you are dealing with on a daily basis. So I want to commend you, and I also want
Yeah.
to challenge you to see yourself as that advocate, because
Yeah.
there's someone that maybe It's not necessarily going to make the change for you today, but it's going to create a ripple effect and a change for others that come behind you.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, I hope so. I've always felt like I don't call it advocating. I just call it sharing my experience, like, and
Love it.
sharing my story. Like, cause that's about what I can do. We're
Yeah.
going back to like, do what you can, right? Well,
Mhm.
this is what I can do.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily go march on, the Capitol building, but I can
But you
sit
can
down
do
and talk to
something
you.
else,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
you do.
exactly.
Yeah, I think that that's the key, right? Most people think, well, what can I do? It's only me. But really, what we have to say, maybe this is what I can do, right? And perhaps is not this, I'm not contributing in the same way that somebody else does, but I'm contributing it in a way that will make a difference to the people who I can immediately touch.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about inclusion in schools and again in the medical system, and that's something that we I just mentioned. But what's one experience that still fires you up when you think about that, about inclusion and really some of the things and intricacies of our medical system?
Well, not so much in the schools because I had a really good school
Hmm.
experience
Yeah.
overall. And again, that's mostly thanks to my parents.
Hmm.
The medical system, though,
Yeah.
that is so broken. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the inherent problem I see in the
Mm-hmm.
medical system is that there are a list of protocols that doctors and nurses and all medical professionals are
Hmm.
taught.
Yeah.
And that's what they stick to.
Mm.
That's all they stick to
Yeah.
sometimes. And
Hmm.
that's a major problem because
Yeah.
it does not work for everybody.
No, no, I
I
agree. I
cannot be
agree.
casted like a normal person.
Hmm.
I cannot. It does not work.
Hmm.
There are some other things that, like, just for example, I use heat instead of ice when I break something
Okay.
because for me, it's better to relax the muscles that
Hmm.
are pulling on the brake instead of like doing the swelling with the ice, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it's just different. And
Right.
so I don't think that medical professionals are getting taught to think outside the box as much as they should
Hmm.
be.
Yeah.
And I think that is a major, major, major problem.
Yeah.
Because we are individuals. Like, everybody's
Yeah.
different,
So
you
true.
know?
And this leaves room, and I will say, I've done so many different interviews, and what you're saying is what I see one of the reasons that people are so open to alternative medicine because the
Right.
traditional medicine at times doesn't take into account the individuality of it and of
Exactly.
people. And by the way, my friends, this is not medical advice. We're not
No,
giving
no, no, no,
medical
no,
advice,
no.
but we want to just share. And
Yeah.
this is truly my opinion that I not too long ago, I think I talked about it. We talked about it with Dan on a podcast, but we went to see a new doctor for him. And I hated him. I'm sorry that I'm using that word, but I did because he was so like dismissive and he didn't even come into the room wanting to get to know him as a person because he's not just, my husband has Tourette's. He's not just a guy with Tourette's. He is a person that has a life. And how does this Tourette's kind of, it's part of his life and learning a little bit more about what he's been doing, what's important, what's not. And rather than, okay, well, here you go. Thank you for coming and and just let me give you a script for it. And I think that this is people and doctors who are dismissive and not willing to have conversations and get to know the patient. And obviously, and this is where the brokenness comes in, right? That our insurance agencies,
Right.
companies don't let
That's
doctors
the
have more
problem.
time with patients. I have a
Yep.
friend who's a doctor, and that's her gripe, so I get it. But I'm going to get off my little platform
Well,
and
I will tell you, my mother is a holistic veterinarian. She
I
does a lot
love
of
it.
homeopathy, she does chiropractic, she does a lot of nutrition.
See, I love
Um,
it.
and this is partly why I have done so well, because I do a lot of holistic medicine. I
And
do
she's
very
been open to the idea that there's other ways, not
right,
just one way.
right.
I'm
And
loving
so
it.
I don't do a lot of traditional medicine at
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
Okay, very rarely do I do traditional medicine.
Okay.
Um, but in her practice, she sees this. Like she will get a dog that cannot is not diagnosed, that
Hmm.
has not been diagnosed, and it has all these problems.
Hmm.
And they've been to three other vets and they can't figure it out. And mom
Yeah.
looks at this dog and she starts asking questions like, well, what have you changed in your home?
Hmm.
Well, what is your
Hmm.
home life like? Like, how are
Yeah.
you and your husband getting along? You know, all of these
Mm.
things that affect your
Yeah.
pet's life. And then she's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, this is the problem.
Hmm.
And
I
it's so
love that.
obvious.
Oh, I wish she was my vet.
Well, she does phone consults. You're
Oh, good
welcome to
to
call
know.
her.
Good to know. I
I can
have
give you
three
her
little
information
dogs.
later. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, it's just like, but that used to be how medicine was practiced,
Right.
human
Exactly.
medicine. And it's no longer practiced like that in
Yeah,
general.
you have to find the practitioners and,
Hmm.
functional medicine doctors
Yes,
tend to
yes,
be phenomenal.
yes.
And I think that we need to be our own advocates when it
Yeah.
comes to our health. And that
Hmm.
means, not necessarily, only using Dr. Google, but really asking people, researching, do your own work, and really pay attention to you. And I love that you share the example that when you break a bone, heat is better for you rather than ice. And
Hmm.
you know your body because you've paid attention and you were curious. And of course, this is something that a lot of us just, it's easier to just take the pill and not see what the next step is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the easier option, but it usually comes with
Mhm.
problems later,
Yeah, of
you know?
course.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to say, you've been incredibly gracious with your time. Are you open to doing a quick lightning round with questions?
Oh, sure.
I haven't done this in a while, so I was
Okay.
thinking about this and I thought,
Oh,
oh, I
goodness.
think Catherine might be fun to do this with.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So don't overthink it and just give me your
Okay.
first answer. What
Okay.
is the one thing that instantly brings you joy?
Sugarland.
Okay. What is the habit that keeps you grounded?
A habit that keeps me grounded?
Mhm.
I like to read before I go to bed.
Okay. Confidence is?
Necessary.
Who inspires you right now and why?
Anybody I see fulfilling what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm,
So I'm not going to answer that with a specific person
okay.
because
I
a
love
few
it.
come to mind, but anybody I see that is they're actually doing it.
Well, thank you. I love that answer. And last but not least, what is your personal definition of success?
I think that probably changes from person to person, of course.
Hmm.
Um, for me, success is that I've done my best during the day
Mm,
and
yeah.
something got accomplished. Like I am very goal and list oriented.
Oh, me
So
too.
if I can, yeah. So if I can cross something off a list or meet a goal,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I like to set small goals for myself, but
Hmm.
eventually work up to big ones because I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
you and I both
small
know.
steps.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both know you can't set this giant
Yeah.
goal and
Yeah.
expect to reach it, right? So,
Oh, no, for sure.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, any day where I'm able to do that and I feel like I've made progress is a good
Mm,
day. That's
yeah.
successful.
Well, I
Yeah.
love that. Catherine, you're a joy. Thank you so much for being a
Thank
part of
you.
the show. I want to encourage you, my friends, the listener, to go to Catherine's website. Where can they find you online?
It is cacartnola,
Mhm.
NOLA.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram
Mhm.
too. So
Yeah,
you'll
and
be
we're going
able
to
to
put
find
the
me there.
information in the show notes.
Yep.
And I want to encourage you also go visit, and you can get to the Etsy store through the website.
Hmm.
Go and check out her art. Go and give her some love and share this episode. I think that this is. Thank you so much for the inspiring conversation and for the ability to really be able to learn more and to, again, think outside the box. And by just meeting and creating relationships with people that are doing some incredible things and are in that journey to confidence. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, don't forget, go confidently to Catherine's website in the direction of your dreams.